Hello fellow humans and welcome to the Madhouse. I'm Josh and today I'm going to be reviewing The Shepherd's Crown by Sir Terry Pratchett, which is in my view a wonderful tribute and finale to the Discworld series. I say tribute because, well, I'll explain in a minute. But first I'm going to give just a short summary of what the book is about, and I mean very short, because I'm going to broach upon the subject again in the main body of the review. The elves are returning to Discworld. In fact, not just returning, but invading with an army. So it's up to Tiffany to lead the witches against them. And the result is so funny and sad and great. I'm not going to say more now. Now, I should point out that I have some notes here because I've tried to film this review about 5 or 6 times and I got really emotional in each one, or I lost the train of thought because I was too busy thinking about the feelings, or what's the term that they use for them across social media, these kids nowadays, the feels. I should of course point out that there will be some spoilers in this. I'll try to keep it relatively spoiler free, but there are some things that I simply cannot leave out of this. Such as, right now, the reason why Tiffany is leading the witches, and that is, I was right. In fact, I was right about most things. If you read my predictions video, which I'll link somewhere around here, you'll see exactly what I mean. Granny Weatherwax has left the world in such a beautiful way. Granny is gone at last, and because she's a witch, she knows exactly when she's going to die and how. So what does she do? She gets everything ready. She prepares her cottage to be handed over to Tiffany. She gets it clean and calm and ready. She makes her own coffin and prepares the spot for her to be buried in. And then she greets death, not as two adversaries, but as someone who has fought to keep people from death for her entire life, but as an old friend. And it was remarkable. Not entirely dissimilar from the send-off that Rihanna Pratchett gave her father on his Twitter page, where Death and Terry walk arm in arm into the black desert under the endless night. It's stunning stuff, and it works because for many people Granny Weatherwax was Discworld. She was strong and tough and taught other people to be. She was kind and not necessarily nice, but she helped people because she wanted to and because she could. And she taught other people to. She began merely as a parody and a plot device in Equal Rights, but she grew to become so much more like the entire Discworld. For me, she is without a doubt my favourite Discworld character anyway, with Veterinary coming a very close second. Now, the book itself is, I have to say, golden, and I don't just mean in the really nice embossed titles and names, which are lovely, but in its execution. It wasn't the strongest of his satires or the funniest of his parodies. It was neither the most adventurous or as philosophical as Small Gods. But I reckon that this is going to be my favourite book of the year, and you know why? Because it was a salute to the entire disc. It reads as though Sir Terry knew that it would be his last book, that he would never be able to write any more. And in that knowledge, it becomes all the more beautiful and bittersweet. By bringing Granny's story to an end at a similar time to when his own story was brought to an end, Sir Terry allowed us to mourn for them both together. He allowed Tiffany's grief and Nanny Ogg's grief, and even Arch-Chancellor Ridcully's grief, to be our own, and we express it through them. It was wonderfully cathartic, I thought. As I said, it's a salute to the Discworld, a fond farewell. All of the old favourites have a place in it. They show up. When Granny dies, of course, she's the most powerful witch on the disc. It has ripples across the entire world, ripples that weaken the veil between our world and fairyland, which is how the elves come through. But also, those ripples spread across the world, and it allows us to meet the other characters for one last time as well. Lord Veterinary, Ponder and Hex, Magrat and Agnes return with style, and not just style, but a rather large suit of spiked armour in the case of Magrat. And of course, Death. Death greets Granny and is so wonderful in the way he does it. The only character that we don't really see, the only real favourite, is Rincewind, who I suspect upon feeling Granny's departure from the world probably started running as fast as he can away from anywhere elves could come. Tiffany is of course the star of the show. It is the final Tiffany Aching book, so we expect her to do that, and it was set up wonderfully for her to take over as Granny, and there's wonderful character development throughout the entire series, but even in this one, because we see Tiffany realise that even though she's Granny Weatherwax's replacement, she doesn't need to be another Granny. She can be herself and lead the witches her way. Of course, she's technically not a leader because they don't have leaders. Granny wouldn't allow it. But she's the unofficial leader they don't have. Tiffany stands in for the readers, in fact, because we're the ones who grew up with Granny, with Discworld, and would change for the better by it, and I love it. Even though it is the final book in the series, we can see that there was room for so much expansion of ideas in it. New things, the very first male witch, who is actually what Tiffany calls a calm weaver, which is an entirely new sort of magic for Discworld. But it's such a wonderful concept that I would love to see more, but it's never to be. There's also the question of, can elves become good? Do they have to be the vicious, evil parasites that Pratchett portrays them as? The complete antithesis of Tolkien's elves, and in my view, the far, far more fascinating ones. Those answers lie with us. We are the only ones who can decide this, and it's wonderful. Now I'm going to mention two very, very important pieces. The dedication and the afterword. And, well, I have to read them aloud first before I can explain them. The dedication, unlike the usual one in Pratchett's books, which usually reads to Lynn and Rhianna, always, instead reads, for Esmeralda Weatherwax, mind how you go. Now, obviously, Esme Weatherwax is Granny Weatherwax, fair enough. But mind how you go, it's a saying that's common in England, but is of particular pertinence to the Pratchett family, Rhianna revealed on Twitter the other day. It's a saying that they use to tell people to be careful and to be happy and to try and avoid problems. But it was also, Rhianna said, the last words that her grandfather and her father, Sir Terry Pratchett, ever heard before they died. So it is in fact a wonderful salute to them both, and it's forever etched into these pages, and I love that. The afterword, then, written by Rob Wilkins, Sir Terry's personal assistant and very close friend, is very emotive and shows a great strength to their friendship, but also has some wonderful things in here. Wilkins was kind enough to share with us some of Sir Terry's ideas for what would have come in the Discworld series, what would be more books. There's the talks of how the old folk of the Twilight Canyon solved the mystery of a missing treasure and defeat the rise of a Dark Lord, nor the secret of the Crystal Cave and the carnivorous plants in the Dark Incontinent, nor how Constable Feeney solves a whodunit among the congenitally decent and honest goblins, nor how the second book about the redoubtable Maurice as a ship's cat might have turned out. It's wonderful to have those suggestions left over so that we can fill in the blanks for ourselves, and I'm forever grateful for that. I would recommend this book to anyone, really. It will work wonderfully as a Pratchett novel, but unlike the others, it doesn't work so much as a standalone. All of the others you can read separately however you want, but not this one. This one, you could enjoy it, certainly, and it's full of great humour, but you will miss out on so many of the jokes, things that are repeated from as far as The Colour of Magic crop up in this. And of course, Granny Weatherwax's death will not hold so much meaning for you if you've just started with this one. So I'm going to do a video in the next few days, well actually I'm probably going to film it now while I'm dressed up for my Pratchett videos, about where to start with the Discworld. But if you are a fan of Discworld already, or you love the idea of turning fantasy tropes on their head, The fact that there can be male witches and female wizards, or that elves aren't the light and floaty creatures, and that fairies aren't always kind, then this book is for you. I would rate this book, and I have done, at 5 out of 5 stars, because it makes me so very, 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 very happy. And I'm getting teary. Not so much happiness now, is it? Oh my goodness, no. Read this book. Read all of Sir Terry Pratchett's writing. You will not regret it. And like me, it might just change your life for the better. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please click like, share and subscribe. And comment. Let me know your thoughts on the book. Do you have any particular feelings about Sir Terry's writing? Please share them. Because I'm not. I'm still grieving. It's strange because I never knew him, but I'm sorry. I have to go.